Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and tonight, we are here with the very first episode of the Wrestling Review. So, I could have recorded this earlier, but unfortunately Friday night Smackdown here in Australia doesn't air till around 2:30 p.m. So I had to wait a little bit so I could watch it, dissect everything, and do all that sort of thing. But today I'm not going to just be reviewing Smackdown, I want to review NXT as well. I don't want to keep it too long, so we're going to get stuck right into things, and we'll start off probably with the show that is less important at the moment, well, until July 19 anyway, and that is Friday Night Smackdown. So let's get right into it and start reviewing things. So Smackdown opened up with a fatal four-way number one contenders match, which was for the United States title. Cesaro took on Del Rio, Sheamus, and Apollo Crews. So it was a fatal four-way. Cesaro versus Del Rio versus Sheamus versus Apollo Crews. The match was pretty exciting, I will be honest with you. I really enjoyed it. Really cool Smackdown match. Kind of predictable who was going to win, which did end up being Cesaro. He won after hitting the Cesaro swing on Del Rio and then making him tap out to the sharpshooter. It was a really awkward tap out, might I add, but I thought it was kind of cool from Del Rio. It kind of made him not look like he tapped out. It's kind of hard to explain. It made him look strong in a way. Like he forcefully had to tap out, like he really didn't want to, but he had no choice. That kind of thing. Anyway, the point is Del Rio was made to submit by Cesaro. So Cesaro became the number one contender for the United States title. But then as he was celebrating and walking out the ring, we had Del Rio attack Cesaro by pushing him into the steps and then hitting that double foot stomp, which I really don't like. One, it's kind of copying Finn Balor, which I know it's been done before, but we're talking WWE. Finn Balor is basically the guy who has it at the moment. And the reason I really don't like it, it looks cool, but Cesaro, he was leaning off the apron, and how else is he going to hold his weight up? He has to hold the bottom rope. Come on, I understand you have to set up moves, but it makes it look too obvious. Same when it's in the ring, he has to hold himself up by the ropes. It makes no sense, as if you wouldn't just drop down so he can't kick you. But anyway, he used that, and it looked pretty good. He hit him, and then Rusev's music hit. So he came out, and he demanded that he becomes the Swiss Superman. Basically, be the Superman that you are and face me now. So Cesaro basically accepted, as you would have expected, and this kind of still makes Rusev look strong, but it also doesn't make Cesaro look weak, because Rusev went on to win via the Accolade. It was a decent effort from the Swiss Superman Cesaro, but it was kind of made like that. It was kind of always going to happen. You couldn't just see Rusev losing the title on a taped version of SmackDown, which is why, might I add, I'm really looking forward to the draft and SmackDown going live. For me, live viewing is so much better because something could happen. Okay, I know Samoa Joe won the title at that NXT Live event. Just believe me, that's a one-off rare occasion. Whereas if it's a live SmackDown, anything can happen. It has its own storylines. That's why I'm hanging on. I've been dying for the draft to come back. So anyway, back to what we're talking about. Then we had a bit of a surprise. We had Dana Brooke versus Billie Kay. Now, if you're an NXT fan like me, Billie Kay is an NXT diva. She's an Australian. She's Aussie. Yes, she's Australian. That's pretty big for us here in Australia. No offense, but I prefer Peyton Royce at the moment a little bit more. She just seems to have the edge. She seems to have had the bigger matches on NXT and more TV time. But Billie Kay gets a SmackDown match. I don't know why, but she made a main roster debut. Whether she's going to be there for a while or whether it's just going to be a one-off just to give her a glimpse of the limelight, I do not know. I can't tell you that right now. Dana, she ended up making easy work of her, and she looked strong and pinned her with that usual sit-out finishing move, which I apologize, I don't really know the name of just yet. So Dana got the 1, 2, 3 there. It was good to see Billie Kay in the ring. Very proud of her, being an Australian. I actually go to watch the local wrestling here, Newcastle Pro Wrestling, and she knows. If you recall Shazza McKenzie last year on NXT, she wrestles here every month. That was pretty big to see her on NXT, and they all know each other, so it's kind of cool to see her on Friday Night SmackDown. Moving on, we had a backstage promo. It was showing some heat between Sasha and Summer Rae. They just had a back and forth, verbal hate on each other, and it was just basically to hype up the match that they were going to have later in the show. Moving on, we had Miz TV, hosted obviously by The Miz, and his guest was Dean Ambrose, who actually walked out with a sandwich. Yes, a sandwich. Miz thought it was dumb, obviously, and then they got into a heated argument, and it resulted in Miz kicking Ambrose, blah, 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 blah. This led to a main event match, which is obviously going to be later in the program. Miss TV, it can be entertaining sometimes, but it's just the same thing all the time. Again, WWE is getting a bit too predictable lately. Although, to be honest, SmackDown's already been better than what Raw was. Putting that out there now. The segment, it wasn't too bad. I'll give it that. Maurice got involved as always. But anyway, then we went on to, this was probably really pointless. It was just to make the Wyatt family look strong. Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan, should I call him Strowman? Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan squashed two nobodies from Miami. I forgot to tell you, the event emanated from Miami, Florida. My apologies. And then we had the New Day. They cut a funny promo on the Wyatt family. And just like the last 2 weeks, Xavier Woods looked a bit scared. I can kind of see what they're doing here. People are going to think he's going to turn and become a Wyatt. I reckon it's a ploy. He's doing it to put the Wyatts off or some shit like that. I don't know. That's just my guess. And then the funny part came. This was really hilarious. Big E told Bray to expose himself. Kofi said that was wrong. You can picture it. Go home and watch it. It's hilarious. The way they say it. It's one of the funnier moments. It made me laugh just as much as the thing on Monday Night Raw about the hard thing with Soft and the Social Outcasts. So go and have a look. It's pretty funny. Then we had that Divas match I was talking about. Sasha versus Summer Rae. And that ended when Sasha made her submit to the bank statement. A solid win for the boss. But again, kind of a filler match. Nothing really going there. There was no interference from Charlotte or anything like that. That's mainly due, I think Charlotte left for Japan or somewhere, China or something. Apologies there, I don't know where she went, but somewhere on tour, probably straight after Raw. I'm not too sure because she just tweeted out she was in some dome, sumo hall or something. Must be Japan. Anyway, on to the main event. Ambrose versus Miz. It was actually a really good match, back and forth, as most main events are. And it ended when Ambrose hit the Dirty Deeds, of course, for the win. And surprisingly, he just celebrated to end the show. There was no Seth Rollins, no interference, blah, blah, blah. A bit of a dull ending, I'll be honest, to the show, despite the match was good. But again, SmackDown, I feel like it's edging Raw at the moment with quality of in-ring competition. The only issue for me with SmackDown is it's pre-taped. A lot of people know the results. Pre-tape means there's going to be no real surprises. It's kind of boring with storylines. It's predictable. But the wrestling is better than Raw. I'm just going to put it out there. The wrestling's better than Raw. Probably because it's 2 hours. But again, I can't really put my finger on that one. I don't know. That's an interesting one. It's slightly better than Raw. Probably mainly in the less wrestling aspect. But again, it has its problems as well. So let's throw SmackDown out of the way. Let's go to the good show. The one we all love to watch, the one the real wrestling fans seem to love to watch the most, and that is NXT. So, NXT obviously emanated from Full Sail University, Winter Park, wherever the usual place. And it opened with a match that was hyped from last week, being Alexa Bliss versus Carmella. Now, both were given really good in-ring time here, and they put on a really good match. Definitely a lot better than those SmackDown matches that I just mentioned before. Even the Sasha Banks match, yes. Alexa Bliss would eventually go on and she'd hit the Sparkle Splash for the victory. Alexa's looking really good. And this next thing I want to talk about basically talks about that. But I'll go through the match first. The in-ring chemistry between them two is really good. Carmella, I've noticed, I don't know if I noticed this the past few weeks, but she doesn't come out saying bada bing, hottest chick in the ring anymore. She's just Carmella, does a moonwalk thing and comes out and goes to work, and she's really, really good. The way Alexa Bliss is wrestling, it's starting to remind me of Sasha a little bit. It's starting to get really good. She's starting to be really good technically, and again, the women are really taking over NXT, and eventually they're going to move up to the main roster. I want to discuss that a little bit later, actually, about who's going to be going up to the main roster with the Divas, but again, I don't want them to leave NXT as much as we need better divas, or women, I should say, on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. But for the time being, they put on a really good match, and it was really good to watch. You might want to go check that one out if you haven't already. Then we had Bayley. She was interviewed backstage. Alexis interrupted and said Bayley has to go through her to get a title shot against Asuka. And this obviously now, well, you won't know, so if you don't know, this ended up setting up Bayley versus Asuka versus Alexa for next week. So we've got Bayley versus Alexa Bliss next week. I'll have my theories. I'm probably going to do a WWE Confidential tomorrow night. I'll talk about that after I do the review, actually. I'll leave that for later. Let's get through the review first. I've got a little bit to talk about what's coming up over the next few days. Then we had Andrade Cien, or Cien, however you want to call him, Almas. He defeated Noah Portes, I don't know how to say his name. It was a relatively quick squash kind of match, but that Noah guy put in a bit of offense. It's kind of an easy win again for Andrade. He hit that knee smash thing, which another thing I have a bit of hate for. It's not a strong enough move. Alexa actually hits the Bronco Buster, I think. She hits some kind of move like that, and that's not her finishing move. It's like a lot of finishing moves, I guess. They're a bit weak, but I don't like the ones where they run into the corner and hit him. Same with the haluva kick. I'm not a big fan of it because, I don't know, they kick him and by the time they drop, it's just a kick to the skull, or it's just these knees to the corner for Cien Almas. But, he won with that anyway, because by the time, they drag him into the ring and then pin him, he can kick out. Come on. I'm not a fan of those finishes, but that's just me. Moving backstage, we had Austin Aries talking about how good his attack was on No Way Jose last week. His promo was very, very good. So he's turned full heel, 100% heel. So basically fully turned his back on the NXT/WWE universe. And I thought that was a really, really good promo from Austin Aries. So basically just talking himself up and how good his attack was on No Way Jose. Now we went on to our main event of the evening. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Now, those two are in the Cruiserweight Classic, which is coming up on the WWE Network very, very soon. Yes, WWE, I just helped you pull a plug on your network. That probably won't be happening too often, I hope. Anyway, back to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Apologies. They defeated the Hype Bros, and it was a very good main event, might I add. I really enjoyed watching that. There was some great action, and it made them look very, very good. Gargano and Ciampa definitely benefits them going into the Cruiserweight Classic. Obviously, they've already pre-taped the first episode or whatever, but it's going to give them some momentum, basically, heading into that. You know what I mean. It's going to make people that are viewing it take notice of them a little bit more. Anyway, they use their tag team finisher, which if you didn't know already, it's called Meet You in the Middle. It's basically them two kicking them kind of in different ways in the middle of the ring at the same time, and that picked up the 1, 2, 3. Now, after the match, they had a chance to speak. They said that after getting a shock victory, if you guys recall, a few weeks ago against the Revival, it means they're surely in line for a tag team title shot, and that is what they claimed. And can you really blame them? You just beat the tag team champions, so you definitely deserve a tag team title shot. Now, American Alpha's music hit, so they made their long-awaited return after losing the titles back to now two-time champions, the Revival, at TakeOver. I'm even forgetting where it was now. The last TakeOver. The End, that's the one. I keep thinking they're all at a location now because they call them different things. Anyway, so Alpha came out and they said that they want to invoke their rematch clause, so they're next in line for a title shot, which resulted in the Revival then interfering, and then they obviously claim that they get all the shots and that they feel neither deserve a title shot. Then out comes William Regal, of course. Really good segment, this. If you go watch it, the crowd's really into it. It's really good. And he makes a really big announcement. This is huge. This is why we love NXT more than the main roster stuff at the moment. Again, some people probably love the main roster stuff. The kids especially, obviously. But there's people out there who don't even know NXT. Those of us who love it, this is why. William Regal first tells Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa that they will be first in line for a title shot. But that's after next week on NXT, not only do we have Bayley versus Alexa Bliss, but the Revival must defend their tag team titles against American Alpha in a rematch. Not just any rematch. William Regal made this a 2 out of 3 falls match. That is massive. We've got 2 out of 3 falls, Bayley versus Bliss next week, and then the following week we have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor. How much bigger can it get? NXT is so much better at the moment. It's hard to fathom what WWE would be right now without NXT. It's just 1,000 times better. Now, I've been to WrestleMania 30 and 28. How unlucky was I? 30 was the last year before they even started getting NXT involved. 31, they obviously had the non-live one where they just had the live event, house show, which went off. And my friend of mine who's been to 2 WrestleManias with me, he even went to that one. So I was a bit jealous because that's huge. I haven't even had a chance to witness NXT superstars at hand yet. And I haven't seen Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, none of them. So that's how big NXT has become. Some of these match cards are bigger than WrestleMania. Well, some of them anyway, but yeah, I really really want to have a chance to actually watch NXT in person one day. And maybe that time will come. I've got the WWE tour coming up here in Australia now in August, on the ramp, actually, on the ramp side, which is pretty cool. I have been on the ramp before at WrestleMania 28, but, you know, this is different. It's something new. I go to them every now and then here. Again, they're predictable because their faces normally always close the show. And this year we've got Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins closing the show. How boring. But the rest of the card looks good. We got Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. How can you not enjoy that? So I'm going to get to see them two for the first time, but I don't know about Finn Balor, which is a bit of a disappointment. But we'll find out soon. Anyway, I don't think you care about me blabbering on about that. I've discussed NXT and Smackdown. We've reviewed them. NXT obviously kicking Smackdown's ass as per usual. Really looking forward to Smackdown going live. That could fix things up a bit. Hopefully Raw gets a bit better too. But Raw at the moment, I don't see a fix coming for it anytime soon. I thought this Divas Revolution was going to fix everything. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, that's not even fixing anything. The issue is they're putting in too much filler shit that nobody wants to see. It's fucking rubbish. Sorry for the swearing, but this ain't no PG bullshit. That's another thing. Why is it still PG? Why? Really? Not even. I mentioned it in my video in the first episode of WWE Confidential, how pathetic Raw was. Anyway, I'm not going to go back to that. I really don't want to talk about it again. What I do want to discuss is what's coming up in the next few days. Now, I'm going away on a holiday tomorrow. So it's Friday after, it's like 7 p.m. So it's Friday night right now. I am going to the snow. If you live in Australia, you'll know where Jindabyne is. I'm heading out there until Wednesday morning. So Wednesday midday. So I'm going to, for the rest of the night, I'm going to pre-record a few more videos. They're probably going to be WWE stuff, that kind of thing. So you'll really enjoy those, hopefully. I'm going to do those over the days I'm gone. I'm going to take my laptop. It's not a good enough laptop to edit things, so I'm going to edit them here and just upload them when I get there if I can. I'll do that for you guys. They're going to be top 10s, that sort of thing. WWE 2K17 discussions. I'll see what I do. I'm going to do them in the next few hours. Tomorrow night is going to be episode number 2 of WWE Confidential, so stay tuned for that. Got some really interesting topics to talk about. One other thing I did want to mention was thanks very much for the reception of the breaking news towards Hideo Itami, who, if you didn't know by now, has returned to NXT. He did at the Winter Haven live event a little bit earlier today, or a little bit earlier last night. I don't know, it's hard with the American time zones to discuss that, but it's really good to see. I got about 50 likes in like an hour, and that's rare for me. So thanks guys very much. That helps me a lot. Yeah, so that'll do it for this video, guys. Make sure you do hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. I do, actually, before I go, I nearly forgot. I do apologize. I said it in the breaking news video. My sister's already taken the GoPro to Sydney because they're going to the snow a day before us. They're already there, so she took the GoPro. So I do apologize for having WWE 2K17 footage on your screen. I hope you did enjoy it because the matches were really good. I've done it as I used to make my Universe videos. I've actually used 2 controllers and made it look very, very authentic. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you do subscribe if you want more. And I will probably see you guys tomorrow night for WWE Confidential. Catch you guys then.